Hello and welcome to Those Working Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Christine.
And today we're going to be discussing the fandoms that we're not really a part of, that we couldn't really find the groove and get in with. We respect the fandoms, but we can't really call ourselves a part of it. So this idea was prompted by one of our patrons, Cheyenne. So thank you so much to Cheyenne. And that's going to be our main discussion today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to kind of analyze why we didn't get into or couldn't get into whatever the fandoms were, and what it would have taken maybe for us to have gotten into it. What time in our lives maybe we would have had to dip in, So
yeah.
That should be fun. And before we jump into that, though, we are going to go into Snap Crackle Pop Culture News. And the first thing on the docket today, because I didn't talk about it in detail last week, is my third book.
Yay!
Attached at the hip. The cover has been revealed. The synopsis has been revealed. And today I get to talk about it with y'all. Now, if you don't want to hear the synopsis, I'm probably just going to be maybe 30 seconds that you could just hit the move forward 30 seconds, because you know how with books, all books, but my books, I'm always I think you should go in knowing nothing. But if you want to know the bears, if you want to know what it's about and you need that to read a book, a lot of people do need a synopsis before they go in. I'm one of those people that are just if you tell me to read it and you liked it, I'm reading it. So
I like a synopsis.
I know you do. I like a nothing. I like a I loved this so much. I'm okay, here we go. But okay. So the cover, if you haven't seen it yet, it's on my Instagram. There's a video on my YouTube where I talk a little bit more about it. I answered 5 questions that my audience left in the comments. So that was fun. I'll leave a link to that in the description. I'm not going to Y'all Fest this year. All right. I'm going to read you the synopsis, okay? All right, the little bold thing at the top that compares it to other things, the pitch that's this meets this, says Survivor meets The Bachelor and Attached at the Hip, an irresistible romantic adventure by New York Times bestselling author Christine Riccio. I honestly, when I pitched it to friends, I would be Survivor kind of meets The Bachelor in Paradise. It's not really The Bachelor much at all. But saying The Bachelor in Paradise is weird.
Yeah. Bachelor in Paradise is the much better version of the show, so
it is. But anyway, it's honestly the most like Survivor. That is what it's, Survivor with a romantic comedy twist. So it's a different, slightly different version of it if it was slanted toward relationships. Okay, this is the actual synopsis. Mute your ears if you don't want to hear it and fast forward 30 seconds. Ori Lennox has spent her entire life prepping for her happily ever after, and now that she's graduated, she's low-key wondering, when the heck is it gonna hit? Her love life, her new job, her relationship with her sister, none of it is quite what she envisioned it to be. One evening, on a whim, she applies for a reality show where she'll be stranded on an island with a bunch of strangers to play a game of human chess for a shot at $1 million. What better way to force herself to break up with the things that aren't bringing her joy than to abandon them all on short notice to live off the grid on the beach in the South Pacific? I did it. I had to do that in 3 separate takes.
Were you trying not to read it, or were you just trying to
I wanted to say it all in one blip. All in one blip. Ori's shocked when she ends up cast in an experimental romantic edition of the show, and even more surprised to find that her old high school crush Remy has been cast as well. Ori's one of 10 contestants set to compete in formidable challenges while speed dating in the wilderness without deodorant, toilets, shaving cream, or showers. Ow! She finds herself tied up, literally in a game of risky alliances as she navigates ever-growing feelings for her one that got away alongside an exciting array of budding new relationships. Yeah. So someone asked me if I said, when I say tied up literally, does that mean it's really spicy? And I'm like, they're tied up like she's tethered to her high school crush by 8 feet of rope.
Yes.
So it's so much fun. I am so excited for all of you to read it. The link to pre-order it is in the show notes or in the description of the YouTube video here. And I said this last week. I'm going to say it one more time before I just say pre-order it now. But pre-orders are so important for an author and their career. Like, all of the buyers are looking at them, all of the publishing companies are looking at them and thinking, like, is this person worth promoting? Is this author like worth backing? Do people have interest in this? Do we send them on a book tour? Do we want to hire them again? Do we want to do this and this and this? Like, the booksellers are like, do we want to stock this book? It's so important. And I know a lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that until I became an author. So your pre-orders are so appreciated because it's doing so much to help the book and the longevity of the book. Like, if the book doesn't launch, it's hard to have longevity. Like, the book's launch is so important because everyone's looking at the launch, and then the longevity of the book is dependent on the launch. So all of these pre-orders go towards the launch.
Does it help if they're like, if someone, say, like, you go on book tour and people want you to go to, I don't know, like Cincinnati or something? Does it help that if someone's in Cincinnati that they tell their friends and family to pre-order, like, from Barnes & Noble or something, so that, you know, maybe they can get you to that store?
I don't know. I mean, I bet that Barnes & Noble will be more excited to stock the book. I mean, it always helps. Also, so, like, if you can't afford to pre-order, it's really also helpful to ask your library if they can pre-order and stock the book because you're interested in reading it. Libraries are also so important to a book's life and longevity, and having that in stock there goes a long way. So, yeah. That's my book. Link to pre-orders in the description. It comes out May 21st, 2024. Yay! Okay. I have so much Taylor Swift news that, like, it's old news, but I want to chat about it.
I actually didn't know any of this stuff.
You
that you
didn't?
wrote down.
Okay, good.
No.
So I'm coming at you with some fresh Taylor Swift news, okay? The Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie is hitting theaters October 13th this year, in a month and 10 days, okay, at this point.
What the heck?
I know.
So quick.
It's a fascinating little story here. So the movie is going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes long. So it is not, it's about 45 minutes shorter than the runtime of that she's singing during the show. So I'm wondering, they're probably cutting all the gaps in between the songs and such, and maybe that brings it down to that. Or are they also cutting surprise songs? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But very excited for that. My neighbors were so excited. They were, like, talking about how it's going to be like Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like, everyone's, like, screaming chants and, like, you know, getting so excited together in the theater. And I wasn't thinking about it like that. I'm really excited to go see the theater experience of Taylor Swift. But it's
my first thought was, are we all singing along? Like, in the theater, is that what it's gonna be like?
I don't know.
Because I'm so for that. Like, I hope it's not like everyone be quiet.
I can't imagine it would be, because it's like a concert. The only other concert movie that I've seen in the theaters is, do you want to guess what it was? Did you see any concert movies in theaters? No. Did you see Katy Perry in theater?
I distinctly remember seeing the Katy Perry documentary. That thing lives in my mind. It was that. Have you ever watched it?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's really good.
Okay. I thought it was like straight to streamers. I guess I missed.
The Katy Perry movie? No, it came out in like 2011.
Oh my God, Sam, I did see the Justin Bieber one, but I'm thinking of Hannah Montana or Miley Cyrus. She had one. and I saw that in 3D. I feel like it was like the first or second thing. The first thing I saw was Avatar in 3D. And then I think Hannah Montana was the second thing. It had the real 3D glasses, you know. I can't remember if it was Hannah or Miley. They've meshed into one person in my head. I feel like it was called like the best of both worlds. So but anyway, so Taylor Swift was originally talking to streamers about this concert tour that she wanted to do. It's funded completely by the Swifts. It cost $10 to $20 million to produce, and the streamers were talking to them about it being a 2025 release. And
what?
Taylor wanted it to be airing while the live concert was still happening. She wanted them to be side by side. So she didn't want that. And because of the strike, she jumped over the streamers without informing them. Apparently. This is according to like a bunch of articles that have been coming out on the internet, and went directly to AMC and made a deal with them. So the deal is that 43% of the profits will stay with the theaters, and 57% of the gross will go to the Swifts and directly to AMC. And then after 13 weeks, the Swifts can put the film on streaming if they wish to. So there will be 13 weeks of exclusivity in the theaters. And it has already made a profit just from pre-sales. And this was during the first like couple of days that this headline came out. So it's probably made, it's definitely made more money by now, but it already had made $26 million through pre-orders. It broke all different pre-order records. It broke Endgame's record for, let's see, what was the exact record here? Okay, yeah, it officially broke the 24 hours pre-sale record in AMC's network history, surpassing Avengers Endgame. And 3 movies have moved their release date so that they're not competing with the Eras Tour. And one of those movies was Meg Ryan's new movie that
David
she moved
Duchovny,
it. Yeah, she moved it because she did not want to compete with Taylor Swift. No one wants to compete with Taylor Swift. You can't, because you can't compete.
Okay, so this is only going out to AMC theaters.
So I think their AMCs have a special deal with it, but I think it's also going to be at other theaters. But AMCs are going to have like Eras Tour popcorn boxes and Eras Tour, merch and stuff. And they're the ones, they're getting a cut of it because it's like distributed through AMC rather than a streamer. So.
Sam says, I was wondering, like, if we're all singing, is that going to disrupt other theaters?
Oh my God, you're right. Unless they just, like, make every movie the screening Taylor Swift the Eras Tour at the same time.
At the same time. But then, people will be singing, I love you, ain't that the word? And then someone else will be singing, like, something else.
I know. It's going to be really loud in the movie. I guess they'll probably gauge based off of those opening couple of days, what they have to do in terms of scheduling the film. Oh, you know, but they're probably sold out already for like at least the first entire week. So I don't know.
I don't have tickets. Well, I'm not going to be in town when the movie drops, so I'll have to wait till the following weekend.
I don't have tickets yet either.
I don't have tickets yet.
My neighbor in her 50s that like was so excited about going to the Taylor Swift concert and watched all the live streams. She was like, "Did you get your tickets?" And I was like, "Not yet."
I know Taylor Toro, my friend Taylor Toro, immediately texted me. She's like, I have to go watch this with you and all the Swifties. I'm like, babe, I'm not going to get everyone from LA down to Orange County to watch this. Like, it'll probably just be you, me, and Francis and a few other people.
Yeah, like I don't feel as much of an urgency because We've not the documentary. Yeah. I've seen it in person, and what I really want, I said this on Instagram the other day, I want the documentary of the making of the Eras Tour.
Me too.
That is going to be so interesting to watch, and I want all the behind the scenes of making the tour stage and what it looks like as she's like moving around behind stage, like how much time she gets to like whiz from this end to this end, and like how she came up with different concepts and all of that. So I was kind of disappointed when we got the announcement and it wasn't a full documentary.
I thought the same thing. Like Tessa immediately texted me and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Oh, okay." You know, yes, I'm so excited for everyone to be able to experience the Eras tour.
Yes,
but I would like a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable. They have filmed this. There's no world in which they did not film behind the scenes of this tour. Like, they knew they were going to do all of this. They knew they were going to do the movie. They had to be filming behind the scenes too. This has never been done before. Like, there's no way Taylor didn't be like, we need to tape this.
Yeah, so. I am happy that she is putting this out in theaters. I think it's going to be such a special experience, and definitely compared to, she's never had a film out in movie theaters before. Like, everything has just gone straight to streaming. So I think this is going to be like almost like little mini concerts, because there's going to be Swifties all together being able to experience it. And like, are we going to make more friendship bracelets? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and even like people like my mom who would never like spend that money to go to the concert.
Or Alex,
can go see it. Yeah. And Alex, and like there's another neighbor of mine that like doesn't really know Taylor Swift, but since of all this hype, she really wants to like, you know, see the concert. So she's like, oh, now I can see it. Like, so it's going to open up even more. You know what? Why it's perfect and why she probably did this or wanted it to be coinciding is because there is so much hype right now that everyone that can't go is interested. Like, what's the big deal? And now they can watch and see it for themselves. Like, I'm excited to see it from the front because we watched the concert from the side POV.
Yeah.
And it'll be nice to see all the angles, because there was just obviously some set design and specific things that we missed just because of where we were. So that'll be cool for everyone, because everyone's seen it from like one perspective. I mean, I guess some people saw it from the front.
Some people saw it from a lot of other places, like my friend Francis.
Yeah.
He went to like 10 shows. That man.
Yeah, Cheyenne said that I also think by 2025 we'll be in a new era, and eras would be old news. Exactly. And that's exactly what she's thinking, because she's making more music now. You know, she knows she's like got other plans. So it's time. It's time.
Do you think she's going to have a premiere?
Doubtful because of the strike.
That, and she's touring. Like, I wonder
what
touring. Like, do they need any press for this? Or because usually when a movie comes out, like, there's a press junket, there's a press tour, there's a premiere.
Press for this. I don't need anything except Taylor to be like, I'm doing this, and then everyone's like, ah! So, and also this is just in comparison, it feels like a little thing, but Cruel Summer has passed the 1 billion streams threshold, which is like an inconceivable number of streams. And I think 5 of her other songs have also crossed that threshold already or something. I didn't write down the exact number, but she's in the billions club with Cruel Summer now.
Tiffany says, I think people expect her to pop up at theaters since she doesn't have any shows that weekend, the weekend of October 13th.
Oh, interesting. But where's her last show before that? Is it
I think it's somewhere in South America, right? That's where she'll be. South
America? I guess she has her private jet. She can go anywhere she wants. It's like, will she be going to shows in South America? We'll see, I guess. I don't know. That would be mass chaos. It would have to have a lot of security.
I know someone was asking you about, like, on your Q&A about if they should go see it before they see the actual, they have tickets.
Yeah.
Because there's people in Europe and, of course, South America where she's touring that won't be able to see it until next year. And the movie's going to be out.
Toronto. I think the person who second leg was seeing her in Toronto. Yeah. And there's a second leg of North America with like some Florida and Indiana and Toronto shows, and they have tickets for November of next year. And I was just like, I would wait because you're gonna see it live and then watch the documentary, but then you're gonna miss the theater experience. So you just gotta weigh what's more important to you, I guess. It's a long time to wait. So, and you're missing out on the era. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell that person. I was like, I understand if you can't wait.
Nicole says personally, if I hadn't seen it. I'd wait till it came out on streaming.
Yeah, that's what I would do too, because I feel like seeing it live is way more magical than seeing it in a theater. Well, we're going to move into what right now, but before we do, I want to take a quick second to thank all of you out there listening. If we really appreciate your support of the show, it makes a big difference. And if you are not already, we'd really appreciate if you're following the podcast in your favorite podcast listening app for free. Or if you're watching the visual version on youtube.com/@those4kingfangirls, if you subscribe for free so you don't miss an episode when they come out. And you can follow us on Instagram, that we post every time there's a new episode there. And then we're at those 4King Fangirls there. And if you like the show, it really helps if you tell a friend that you think might like it too. Word of mouth is really important. If you leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, on Apple Podcasts. Is that what it's called? Podcasts?
It's called
Apple
Podcasts on Apple. And also, we just hit 500 ratings on Spotify because I noticed we were like 5 away from 500. So thanks everyone who has rated us.
The show. It's really quick and easy to rate the show on Spotify. It's just a star rating if you like the show, and if it does help us a lot. The more ratings something gets, the more that it gets shared with other people that might like the show. So that's really helpful. And if you want to support the show in a bigger way, we are a listener-supported show. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/those4kingfangirls. We have 3 different tiers, lots of different fun perks. The most consistent is, of course, Fangirl Tea Time. We do an extra half-an-hour show every single week where we dig into deeper topics. And that is available at the $5 level and above on our Patreon. And yeah, you get to join us for recordings, and there's lots of other perks. You can check out the link in our description, in our show notes. Yeah. All right. What right now? Natasha, what have you been reading?
Okay, so I just literally last night picked up, and I knew about this book coming out. It's called The Assistant to the Villain. It's by Nicole Maehrer. She is a TikToker. She is one of like the first kind who like you, Christine, who started off like just being a book talker, and then started doing these like fun little sketches about the assistant to the villain, and the little byline or like to grab everyone's attention is Once Upon a Time Meets The Office. And I have been following her for like 2 years now, and I'm so happy for her. Cool. I bought it. I pre-ordered it. And I just started it last night, and I'm so excited to like dig into it. I'm very happy for her.
That's awesome. I watched a couple of her videos because you sent me one of them, and they were really fun.
Yeah, she's fun. She was a viewer of ours back in the day, so she's very excited.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's very excited. When I first commented on her thing, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I watched you!" Blah, 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 blah. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What have you? Oh wait, I have to.
What have you been reading?
I'm still really slowly making my way through Swordcatcher. I've had a really just nonstop editing week, so I haven't gotten to read much because I was doing all the prep work for the release of the cover.
Oh yeah, and you were very busy. I did not get a call every day like I usually did. I was like, oh, she's busy. She's not going to call me today.
Oh my God. When I was not like editing, I was like doing the synopsis forever. Y'all, the back and forth with this synopsis. I can't. I'll talk about it in tea time.
Yes.
But anyway, I was at a busy week. I read like 5 more pages of Swordcatcher. On page like 26, I think. 27.
Wow. You're making your way through.
I'm like absorbing all of it as I go, because like that's my max absorption at this point, is like I'll get to 2 pages in the shower and I'll be like, all right, I'm excited. Time to shower and go to sleep. So that's been fun. I'm excited for like when I can finally dig into it, but I'm going home to Jersey for my best friend's wedding this week, so I gotta sit down and write the speech today. Finally. Oh, gosh, so I don't know when I'm gonna be able to. After that wedding, maybe I'll be able to like have a nice chill read.
You can read it on our Forks adventure. Maybe.
Yeah, when we're chilling. All right. Music and or podcasts. Natasha, what have you been listening to?
I didn't fill this in, but I actually have been re-listening to all the Twilight soundtracks to get ready for Forks, because Christine and I are going to the Forever Twilight and Forks Festival on September 14th through the 17th. Yeah. And I'm so excited to be back in the realm of Twilight again and in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be so fun and cozy. And I just love that feeling again. So we're very excited. We have a live podcast that we are going to be also recording for you guys, so you'll hear it here. Hopefully, just knock on wood, all of the technical stuff goes well. We can do it. And then Christine's going to be signing as well.
Yes. It's going to be a fun time. I'm excited. I love the Pacific Northwest, all the vibes, all the nature is so gorgeous. I'm so excited to like do one of the hikes to first or second or third beach. Like, it's just so gorgeous. All right. I have been listening to I Used to Be Young a lot by Miley Cyrus. I just have it on repeat when I was like on my walk with Bellamy. And I also recently listened to the Jenny Han episode of Pod Crushed, which is Penn Badgley's podcast. It was a really good episode. It was really fun to hear Jenny talk about her middle school stories and like the inspiration behind her characters. She used to have a hat box. She wrote letters to her crushes and put them in there, love letters, and lots of stuff like that. She talked about unrequited crush stories from early times in her life, and it was really fun. All right. Products you're using this week. I think we're finally finding a groove new right now.
I know. So, okay, this is a drink. So Starbucks is out with their new fall drinks, which is my favorite time of the year. I love my matcha, but I love my pumpkin spice, y'all. It is, I always put cinnamon in my coffee. I'm just always waiting for it to come back. But there is this new drink. So my favorite coffee drink is the ice shaken espresso, which came from Cat. And they renamed it to ice shaken espresso. But now they have an apple brown sugar ice shaken espresso, which is so good. And I love, like, it's like a, I don't know, I love the coffee and the apple taste together with the brown sugar with oat milk. But I put the pumpkin cold foam on top of it, and it was just like a fall explosion in my mouth. Listen, I love all those tastes. If you're not into all those tastes, I totally understand that. I am like a fragrant lady. I love like lavender.
Fragrant lady.
Well, like, you don't like all those like florally.
No, I don't.
Tastes.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. And so this is just everything that I love all together, and it's really good. So if you're into all that like I am, I suggest getting the ice shaken apple brown sugar espresso thing and then adding pumpkin cold foam on top, because it's good all together.
Very fancy. There's a lot of different things in there.
It's expensive too, so only get it like once.
Oh my gosh. Okay, on my end, I only make one thing for dinner a lot of the time, and I've gotten super tired of it. It's a turkey burger with a sweet potato and spinach on the side. So I needed to mix it up because I was literally like disgusted. Like, you know, when you just eat something way too much and you're just like, oh, I can't do it one more time. So I changed the type of potato, and I got those little, like, they were called like Dutch potatoes, but I think they're called a lot of different things. The little
They're in like the little
potatoes.
bag, right?
Yeah, in the little bag. And I put them in the oven with like a tiny drizzle of olive oil, and then took them out after like 35 minutes at 415. 415 in the oven. And they were like, I mean, I don't eat French fries, but I could dip them in ketchup and they tasted like French fries to me. They were like roasted to perfection. I put some salt on them and they were amazing. So I have some more of those left that I can have with my burger tonight.
I love the little potatoes.
Yeah, I've just been having sweet potatoes for like years and years and years. So that was nice. And I also got this giant lantern that has like the UV light that attracts the bugs, and then it murders them when the bugs hit it. And it's like, and I really like it because I don't have to chase the bugs around like a crazy person, because I turn into like a crazy bug murderer lady with like plastic fly swatter, and I'm just like in distress.
You're like a
searching.
cat.
Until I kill it. And now I'll plug it in, I'll turn off some of the lights, and then I'll hear like a I'll be like, gotcha, bitch.
As Christine cackles in the corner.
And I only plug it in when I see something flying around because I don't want to waste the bulb. But yeah, I see that purple light over there. That's also to catch flies. If you're watching the visual version, it catches those little gnats. And so it's like a giant lantern on my countertop that can be used indoors or outdoors. I can link it. It's from Amazon.
Oh my gosh. Apparently, you have to put boiling water down all your drains because that'll kill the gnats because they lay their eggs in the drains.
Yeah, if you have a gnat problem, but I had it like 2 months ago, so they've died down. Anyway, all right, we're gonna roll on into our main discussion. I don't know why I did that one. I need a main discussion sound.
You're gonna ask Cole.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Main discussion time. This is too low energy. It's too low energy.
Yeah, I like.
All right.
I like the twirl sound, the magic chimes.
The magic chimes. I want like something like boo-da-da-da-dum-ba. Like, can Cole do that?
We can ask.
All right. So today we're talking big fandoms that we can't like fit ourselves into, no matter how hard we've tried over the years, because we respect fandoms so much. We love so many things. We're in so many fandoms. And then the idea of like not being able to get into one is kind of hard to cope with, because you're like, oh, all these people are so excited about this thing. Why can't I be as excited about it? And it's just like, we can't all love everything. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very apparent at conventions when there's someone in cosplay and the cosplay is like amazing, wonderful, like, oh my gosh, they made that. And you're like, where is that from?
What
like you don't know.
Yeah. Why don't I know?
Yeah.
I thought I knew all the things.
And I think
nerd.
I think that it's because like we are so involved in nerd culture, where in our generation alone, it's become so accepted, and you're just like, I want to be a part of all the things and be a part of all those communities, because nerd communities are so fun and are enigmatic and just exciting to be a part of. But there's just some media that we maybe don't
click with.
Yeah. We've tried sometimes.
What's the first thing on your list, Natasha?
My first thing is Doctor Who. This has been, I remember back in like 2013 when it was, or 2012, you know, when it was really big on
2011.
Tumblr. 2011.
2011. Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was like, if I become a Doctor Who fan, then that's it. Then I am like full nerd girl. Like I have hit the threshold.
The threshold.
So I really stayed away from it for a very long time. I didn't necessarily understand it. And I think it was, I just finally allowed myself to be like, you know what? It's okay if you want to watch something that maybe you thought you weren't going to like, or you thought like you didn't have enough time or space in your heart to love. And so I tried it. I tried the first 2 seasons with the guy from Gone in 60 Seconds.
Eccleston?
Yes. And I really liked it. There was some bits I didn't love because it was corny and weird and something I'm not very much used to. But I loved like the romance elements with Rose, right? That's her name?
Yeah. Rose.
And then I couldn't get past that she was just gone in season 2 and then we have a new doctor. I was like, I can't, no.
This is what's hard about Doctor Who, because in American shows, we don't switch up our cast. Like, we don't just replace the leads in shows. Like, they're why we want to watch. And then going to this British show, and they change, like, every 2 or 3 seasons, you get a whole new cast of lead characters, or at least, like, one of them is replaced. It's devastating. It's hard to cope with it and want to keep watching, because you feel like they've changed the cast for no apparent reason. And you fall in love with the people who are playing the parts.
And it's kind of like a little death, because you're like, you have to grieve that show that you knew, and then now it's something new. It's like something completely different.
Yeah, with like the same core concept, but everything is changed.
Cheyenne's in the chat who gave us the discussion topic, and she said Doctor Who is kind of how I came up with this idea for the topic. I was into Doctor Who for a while, but I couldn't stay with it. So sad, because the fandom is so fun. Yes, I agree.
I have a whole Doctor Who saga too.
Yeah, tell us.
Well, I was, deeply entrenched in YouTube in 2010. Deeply entrenched in British YouTube in 2010, Doctor Who was all the rage, and Tumblr. It was everywhere. There was a fan band called Chameleon Circuit. Maybe y'all have listened to their albums. They were coming out with a new album in 2012, and Charlie Is So Cool Like is in that band and had songs on it that I really liked. One was called The Big Bang, and I don't know if y'all were around during that time, but like, oh my God, I used to know every single word. And it was kind of like Hamilton, like there's so many words and they're going so fast, like Rivers in the TARDIS is on fire, and like we all used to sing it together in my apartment senior year with like my BFFs in college. We knew all those songs on that album because Matt Smith was the Doctor at this time. And this is why I was able to get into Doctor Who, because Amy Pond and Rory and Matt Smith were that season is very character based, whereas like David Tennant's season and the seasons before that are very episodic. I think Rose's season felt more seasons felt more tied together, but overall it felt like an episodic show, whereas once you get into Matt Smith's seasons, they feel like there's an overarching story, and I need that, and it's more character driven than driven by like everything that's going on around them. Like those are just like the fun things that are causing the drama, but like the characters have their own drama. And there's Karen Gillan plays Amy Pond. She is Nebula in the Avengers movies and everything. And the first character I saw her was, of course, Amy Pond, and Amy Pond's so lovable. And there's like this sexual tension between Matt Smith and Amy Pond. I love it so much. And then there's also she has her boyfriend Rory, and it's this like really sweet love triangle, because like Rory appreciates the Doctor. What do you mean?
Well, because I started watching Matt Smith's season after the fight dragon, House of the Dragon. And because I became obsessed with Matt Smith, and then I got so annoyed. I was like, wait, I thought this was gonna be like them together, and it's
Okay,
like the
you
three
didn't
of them.
finish it.
No, I didn't
It's the
finish
three of them, but they all like love and respect each other, and there is sexual tension with her and the doctor. like, like, I loved it so much. So I came in on Matt Smith's second season, but I went back and watched the first, and this is why I was able to get into Doctor Who, and I watched the seasons with the three of them together, and then I was so upset when they were going to take Amy Pond out of it. I was like,
Yeah.
how dare you? Like, how can you keep going without Amy Pond? No. And during this break, I was like coerced into going back to watch the rest. And I was living at home because I graduated college and it was my year living at home, and my brother wanted to watch them. So we watched from the beginning together. So we saw all of David Tennant's and all of Christopher Eccleston's and all that stuff. But nothing beats those seasons with Matt Smith. And anytime someone's trying to get into Doctor Who, I'm like, you have to just start from Matt Smith. Just start there. And I learned all about Doctor Who while I was abroad because I was taking television courses, like BBC, like the British television courses. And Doctor Who is such a staple of their television history.
Yeah.
Like, it's been on air since like the 60s. They've had so many different doctors. Are they at number like 14 now? I don't even know. But yeah, anyway, I couldn't get it. I couldn't stay on it because I can't take the switching characters. And
I am a little intrigued to see what Disney Plus is going to do with Doctor Who, because they have the actor from Sex Education who is going to be the new Doctor.
he's great.
And I love him. He was in the Barbie movie. Like, oh my God. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do, and I will probably be watching it. But like, again,
right.
I'm not like the biggest fan.
Yeah. Like, I know all the things now. Like, the Weeping Angels episodes are my fucking favorite. And
Yes,
like,
I remember
hate
you
the
taking a
fucking
picture with
Daleks.
them at Comic-Con, and I was like, who are they?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Did you see the Matt Smith Weeping Angels episodes?
No. I think I only got about like 10 episodes into the first season.
Those are prime. Those are like, they have a scary thriller factor that you might enjoy. I don't like the ones with David Tennant as much. Again, like, you don't care about the characters as much because it's more plot based, and the plot can be like cheesy and silly with these terrible effects. So you really need to have like a core of character caring to stay on board, at least in my opinion. All right. Should I talk about the first thing on my list?
Mm-hmm.
It, of course, is Star Wars. And okay, again, like, I wasn't exposed to Star Wars as a child until Paul was exposed to Star Wars, which he was 5 years old and I was 14. Like, I was not interested by then. And once I was with my first boyfriend and his like favorite movie was like the second Star Wars, I was like, okay, I'm going to finally watch the Star Wars movies. And we were going into the return. What was the first? The Force Awakens. I wanted to see the Force Awakens. So I was like, okay, I have to watch all these movies. We watched them together. I struggled to stay awake, but like, I watched them and I didn't get it. Like, I just couldn't get why everyone loved him so much, because there wasn't enough dialogue and character moments for me to like feel like I knew anyone. It was a lot of space stuff. But then I watched The Force Awakens and there was a shitload of character stuff. And I was like, oh fuck, I love these guys. This is great. And I was totally into that movie. And then I was totally into like watching the second movie, but it's like I couldn't watch it again because I would get bored during all the space parts and I already knew what was going to happen. But like, I love the parts with Rey and
Kylo.
Bad guy. Oh my God.
Kylo. Goodness
Kylo Ren.
gracious.
Like, that's what I was living for. And like, everyone was shitting all over that movie and like saying only fake fans. Like, there's a part of the Star Wars fandom that's really mean and
it's terrible, toxic,
gatekeepy and toxic. Yeah. And so that was a big turnoff as well, because like we're finally excited about it. A lot of like, I feel like a lot of women are excited about it. There's like way more female characters and storylines in the new ones. And I just saw a lot of like anti-feminist rants about them. And I was just like, this is not it, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to mention all the hate that like Kathleen Kennedy gets, who is pretty much like, you know, the person who's behind all the new stuff.
And Ryan Johnson gets a shitload of hate too. They all do. And some of the actors, like
they scared Daisy Ridley off of Instagram, and the other one, I can't think of her name. But yeah, they did that to them, to all the female. Oh, John Boyega, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yes. It felt like all the hate felt so like anti-progressive. It was like cruel, a lot of it. It was a lot about, again, like, I feel like a lot of angry white men.
Yes. Well, oh, sorry. One second. So it's funny that you say, you know, Star Wars was introduced to you through Paul at first. Like, you didn't watch it because of him. But same thing with my brother, and like, we're twins, where it was given to Alex as the boy thing to be excited about. And I didn't think that I belonged to Star Wars because it was a thing that my brother loved. And I think I've already gone into this in our brother episode. But it wasn't until that's the thing. It's like, it wasn't until the new stuff came out that I became a mega fan of it. But I was very entrenched in episodes 1, 2, and 3 because of Padme. I was obsessed with Padme, and that love story there was so tragic. And my little heart, who I was like 5 years old when the first one came out, and then in 2006 I was in 6th grade. So I had sat there for like, 4 or 5 years watching the films and watching this love story like come to fruition. I never watched episodes 4, 5, and 6. And I didn't know that these two were going to get together and then create Luke and Leia. And then, what happens to Padme? I was not prepared. And I remember being so devastated that she dies. It was like when we watched Pirates of the Caribbean, and then Elizabeth and they couldn't be together. It's like, so me being like the hopeless romantic, which I feel like stemmed from Anakin and Padme, my emotions were so tied to these characters. And also I loved all of Padme's outfits. Like, she had the best outfits. So that's what made me a Star Wars fan. I think it was episodes 1, 2, and 3. Now, episodes 1's not my favorite, but like episodes 2 and 3 were really good.
I remember my dad took me and Olivia to see episode 1 when it came out in like, what was it, like 2000 or something? Yeah. And I was like, I'm finally going to understand Star Wars. And I was so confused and like off-put by like the only character that I thought was like vaguely fun was Jar Jar Binks, and everyone hated.
Yeah, that's true. I did love Jar Jar Binks. Well, it's so sad because everything that we loved as girls, everyone shitted on.
Hated. Yes. Yes. And like, I was like, everyone hates this character. What am I not seeing?
Yeah. Well, and I remember my mom telling us, like, usually that's what happened. Like, our mom would tell us the story of the movie, and then we would watch it so that we would want to watch it and like stay entertained. And I remember this like, we were driving and she was telling Alex and I the story of like Luke and Leia, and getting us super excited and hyped to watch it. And then that's when it kind of like started clicking about Padme. I think it was in between episodes 2 and 3 when we finally watched 4, 5, and 6. But I I guess, connect with the character. Like, I didn't connect with Leia and Han in the same way that I did with Padme and Anakin. I don't know. And I totally understand, like, you being bored with 4, 5, and 6, because they weren't necessarily my favorite either. They were like, okay.
Yeah. I just lost my train of thought. What the fuck? Oh, I feel like the characters are so much more of a priority in the newest trilogy in terms of like them talking, getting to know them, getting a feel for their backstories, getting like comedy, knowing their personalities more intricately. And that's what I need to stay invested. And that's not the case and like the other movies take themselves, I feel like, really seriously, especially the first ones, the early 70s ones.
I don't think so, because they were made for children.
But no, I just mean like the story takes itself seriously. And I feel like the story's a little bit more lighthearted in the new ones. I don't know.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Comedy, at least in my opinion, in the newer ones. Like C-3PO, I guess, is like funny sometimes.
Yeah. Well, in the way like Han and Leia bounce off each other is pretty fun and funny.
I guess there's just not much of the bouncing. Like, there's like key moments, but it's not throughout the whole movie. And like, I loved Rey and John Boyega and BB-8 together. Like, they had great chemistry.
Yes.
I
think a hot take. I think a hot take for me is that I love. What's his face? Who plays Luke? I can't think of his name.
Why am I Mark
Hamill.
My hot take. Hamilton.
My hot take is that like Mark Hamill is not the greatest actor. I think when he was younger, and I think everything is riding on his shoulders. So I think those movies lack because of his abilities.
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. Like,
he's better now.
Oh yeah, he's great now. Like, and he's got amazing voice acting chops. Like, he's been in so much stuff.
But was that his first job?
That was his first job.
Okay. Yeah. Easing in. What's next on your list?
I have Percy Jackson. But here's the thing. I mean,
Percy.
Yes, I've been introduced to Percy Jackson through the films. I didn't, and that was before I knew Christine. The books I haven't read yet, but there's a part of me that it's going to take a lot for me to read the books, because I feel like I'm so, I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I'm going to love them, and I don't know if I want to take my precious time to read them when I could be reading something else. And I know like the TV show is going to come out, but I know how much you love them. I'm like, I should just do it. So that's the only thing stopping me.
They're not a big time commitment. They're very short when it comes down to it, and very easy to get through. It's not like it's in any way like dense, It's very light. Like the opening paragraph, like I'll never forget it. It like brought me right in, because he's like, my name's Percy Jackson. Like, he's talking to you. So it's really easy to get into it because he's snarky. He's like, imagine Ryan Reynolds literally like shrunk into a 12-year-old. Like, that's who it is. And he's very snarky. He's very funny. He doesn't follow any of the rules. So he's always getting into trouble. Like, he is, and he's dyslexic. So, like, there's that angle, too. Like, he doesn't like school because of it. And then, like, he starts to figure out that that's actually part of being a demigod and stuff. So that's how we open. He's at, like, a museum, I think, or something. And then, like, there's a whole situation. But anyway, it's super fun. And, like, once you start reading, because I remember the instinct that, like, oh, this is an 11-year-old when I was 22. Like, I was like, but everybody loves this so much. And I remember like Cass J. Tuck was so in love with Percy Jackson. And I was like, it's gotta be really good. Like everyone's telling me to read them. And it was like, You know how when you read Harry Potter, it spans all ages because of the story. Like, it's relatable to everybody. It's the same way, but this is so much funnier and so much lighter than Harry Potter. Like, you can cruise through them really, really quickly. But my favorite book is book 4.
Does it have the vibes, you know? Like the good vibes Harry Potter has? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, it does. I would say it's less depressing than Harry Potter, if that's what you're thinking.
I mean, like, so that's what I was about to say about Star Wars. Like, I love the Star Wars vibes compared to like Star Trek vibes. Like, does it have like
yes, it has.
The world is rich and like you can.
It is a rich world.
Okay.
And like, I think particularly because you're Greek, it's going to be really cool to see his take on all the Greek mythology. It's so fucking funny and clever.
That's true.
Like, it's so good.
Am I going to be annoyed though that people aren't Greek in it?
No.
Okay.
They're all Greek. They're all sons and daughters of the Greek gods.
Duh.
It's really good. Okay. And like, I could definitely see where it's hard to try to pick it up. You have to just like kind of leave your preconceived child notions all over there. Like, because I know that's what's holding you back. And there is a constant sexual tension, no matter how you
11-year-olds
between Percy and Annabeth. Okay. And then every year, first of all, they're 12. I don't know why I keep saying 11. They're 12. They're a year older than you start Harry Potter. And then every year they're a year older. Like, come 13 and 14 and 15 and 16, like 16, we're at prime. Like, they're together.
Okay. All right.
But you really, like, my book 4 is the best. I don't even remember why anymore. I just remember book 4 is the best. And then, of course, the Heroes of Olympus series, House of Hades and Mark of Athena, are so fucking good. Anyway, I completely understand your hesitation, though, but it's very worth it. I'm so excited for the show. And I know I sound silly every time, like, he's my number 1 book husband, but, like, he is my number 1 book husband.
Okay. What's your next one?
Okay. So, kind of like Star Wars, like, I felt like I could have maybe gotten more into Star Wars if I wasn't shit all over and I was like all turned off by like all this toxic masculine bullshit that was being poured all over us after the second movie of the new trilogy. Mm-hmm. Pokemon, when I was in school, was very much like this boy thing that they tried to bury all female interests with. Like, it was in competition with everything I liked. Like, when I was like, I like the Spice Girls, everyone was like, Pokemon is better. And so I had to be like Team Spice Girls just to like stick up for stuff that I like. Mm-hmm. And like, and I tried to get into Pokemon eventually, and I just couldn't. Like, I didn't get it. Like, the games, I tried to get into like the Game Boy game, and I get so bored playing it. You have to do the same thing over and over again. You lose a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, throw a rock. I don't know. How did you feel about Pokemon?
Alex and I love Pokemon together, so that was a thing that we had together. And I had a brother who was my same age, so kind of made some of these things a little easier. But yeah, no, I played the Game Boy games. I remember having a Pokemon ball and like throwing it at our cat. And like Alex was always Ash, and I was the girl. I don't remember her name. Something.
You know what I just realized? The person who got me to like Pokemon for the movie was Ryan Reynolds.
What? Oh, because he was Detective Pikachu?
He played Pikachu.
Of course.
But also, I loved Justin Smith as the lead. I thought he was so good.
Oh yeah.
All right, go on. You were the girl.
Yeah. So I don't like the newer stuff. Pokemon Go, I never really got into. Alex got into it like this year again. Not really my thing. I don't know. I loved it when I was younger, though, and I loved the games. But other than that, like, I'm not, like, a true massive fan of Pokemon.
Yeah, I have, like, a couple of cards because I really wanted to, like, be a part of it. But I just... I can't get into those card games where it's, like, battle. Like,
Me
I
either.
love cards, like, with numbers on them.
We should talk about like that and also like D&D because I feel like they're very similar.
Yes.
And I know, here's the thing, Alex is going to be, we wanted Alex on the show today, but he's tired, so he's not going to be on the show. But he's going to be editing this, and we're talking about all the stuff that he loves. Yeah, so Alex and my friends playing Magic the Gathering. I'm over here on the couch like sleeping while they play it all night long. And also D&D, and I tried for D&D. Okay, I gave it like one shot. I didn't love it because I didn't love having...
I gave it like 30 shots.
Oh, shit. Why didn't you like D&D?
Okay, so it's not that I didn't like it. It just moves so slow that I can't keep my focus for so long. Like, it's great. Like, it has great moments. So I was in a group with my ex-boyfriend, John, and we met like once a week or once every 2 weeks. I forget. And in person also was so much better. Like during the pandemic, we had to start doing it over Zoom. And I swear to God, like keeping my eyes open during those sessions was so hard because it's not like an hour. If you've never played D&D, it's like a 3 to 4 hour session at least. Okay. And when I could never remember all the rules because it moved so slow and like wasn't exciting enough that my brain would never put them in permanently. So like I became the one that was annoying that had to like ask about rules a lot when it was my turn, and I hated being that person because people get frustrated with me. And then I try to do something exciting because I'm like, I want different stuff to happen. And then sometimes people would get mad because I was like ruining the quest.
Yeah.
Like I would like always want to murder people and like steal stuff from the stores. And like I remember there came a point that like I was trying to steal this really cool cloak because I wanted it was like pretty and cool, and they were like, it's 100 coins or whatever, and I was like, that's ridiculous, give it to me for 20. And they were just like, no. So I was like, fine, I murder them and steal it. And then I went outside and I was just surrounded and I couldn't get away because the DM, who was John, was like, no. And none of my crew helped me because they were like, you're causing too much havoc for the crew. Like, why do you care so much about the quest? Don't you just want to have fun? We've been here for 3 hours.
I think
Playing it safe.
Okay, so Alex is the DM that I started with, and I had so much fun creating my character, and it was like very much like The Sims, where I spent all this time making the house and making the character, and I literally did not even care about creating their story. And when it came time to like do one session, I was scolded afterwards because he's like, you can't like the type of character I was, like I was trying to have like a banter with one of my friends' characters and like make it like a love story arc, and then they weren't getting it.
They weren't either.
You know what,
there
Christine?
was one moment.
We should start our own D&D group and just do it ourselves, so we can have all these fun character moments.
I know. There was one guy who was in our group that like kind of did banter a little bit with me, and then I was like, this is fun, but then I started feeling uncomfortable because I'm sitting here with my boyfriend as the DM, and I'm like, is this weird?
Right? You know what? We're just gonna have an all-girls group. We'll bring Taya in. And Tessa.
Yes. Oh my God. We can have all the enemies to lovers stories on the quest. Love octagons. Oh my God. Yeah. So I honestly, if it moved faster, I think I'd love it. And if people like, because sometimes I was tolerated doing like all my wild shit and it turned out to be really funny and fun. But because I was an assassin, so I was like super stealth, and I'd like steal stuff off people all the time. And like if you roll good and get away with it, it's just like there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, my character was essentially Wonder Woman.
I was Selena Sardathian.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But my name was Matcha Flame.
Matcha Flame. I don't even remember what my name was.
I love that name. I honestly like want to make a character named Matcha Flame because I love the name so much. I'm like, this is the coolest name ever. It's like the coolest fantasy name I've ever heard.
I like that.
Anyway, Matcha Flame is in fucking prison from stealing that fucking cloak. And I never got a trial because of I had to make a new character, and her name was like, oh, what was it? It was based off of Lady Gaga. So her first name was Lady.
Oh my gosh.
She wasn't as fun, but anyway. Yeah, D&D has a lot of potential to be fun. But when you're playing with a group of boys, they don't want to work on character work so much.
No. Oh, good. I'm so glad we had the same experience.
Wait, how did we get on this? Were we talking about mine or yours?
We were talking about Pokemon, then we moved to cards, and then we moved to D&D.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I've tried to play Magic, too, and I cannot stay awake for the rules. Like, it goes on for so long.
It
There's
does
so much.
Yeah.
I tried for Paul, because he really liked Magic the Gathering.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing, though. Like, if it's something where, like, I should probably have a hobby where it's not tied to, my livelihood. But if I'm going to spend 4 hours playing a card game, like, I would rather have it be, like, higher stakes, or I would just rather read a book, Yep.
I would much rather read a book because I'm not having fun.
Yeah.
I'd rather play like Rummy. Like I'd rather play a card game.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Next on my list. All right. So specifically, I have watched a plethora of anime. Okay. I love certain anime. I love Studio Ghibli. I love all of the like very cinematic type of anime. Like I went to a screening of now I can't even remember what it was called, but the director who did Your Name. I love that stuff. That's my favorite type of anime. Now there's other things. Specifically, this is everything that my brother tries to make me watch that I don't like. A Spy Family. Freaking love that show. Super cute. Okay. Alex has made me has tried to make me watch Attack on Titans
everyone loves that.
Oh, I know. I don't. It's gross. It's brutal. It's like Alex really tries to make me. He's like, look at how much emotion and just it's so like good, and I'm just like, no. I listen, Cheyenne. She's like, no, it's so good. I understand that. I have seen a lot of episodes, but it really turns me off. And I get the storyline, but it's not. I don't know. It's just it makes me nauseous, honestly. Like the way when I watched Aliens, like that movie, those movies make me nauseous. I can't do it, and I can't get past. Like I think he showed me the end of it or something where like they all died or like all the Titans like killed everyone, and I'm like I don't know. It's just not my thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a similar like with anime. I don't like the animation style when it's like not adding up to when you're talking and the mouth isn't moving. Like I could never get past that with I think Pokemon's like that too. Mm-hmm. And it's just like how I can't get into graphic novels. I don't. Oh yeah. It's not my medium. Like I want to read the words and not see the pictures. I want the pictures to be in my head. And it's kind of the same disconnect I feel with anime where if it's not matching up. And it's like because I'm also crazy when I'm editing if the sound's not matching up exactly. And I guess it's like the same sort of thing where I'm like, it's not moving to the sound and I cannot deal with it. Like my brain can't handle it.
It's like when like an anime character gets mad and then everything kind of freezes and then there's like those like little spikes and air puffs and lines. Yeah. And then they're talking very fast and you're like, okay, is this funny? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not my medium of taking in stories. Like I can't process it without being completely distracted and taken out of it. Which I know I've tried so many graphic novels over the years and I just like don't want to read them. Like there's too many pictures to get to the words.
That's how I feel about comics too. It's like I've read my fair share, but that's not my favorite medium to get a story.
Devour a story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I'm not getting enough out of it. And it's just like, people like to see stories in different ways. And that's just not the way that my brain likes to process them.
Have you...
I tried to watch...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I tried to read The Watchmen before the movie came out my freshman year of college. And I just couldn't do it. I tried. I got like 15 pages or 20 pages in. And I was like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, I don't like the pictures and the words, the way that they fall. I can't process a story in like, what is it called? The different boxes on a comic frames, like within the frames like that. Cause it feels jolted for me. Which is weird.
Yeah, there was a
panels. Tiffany said
panels. There was a really popular graphic novel that I purchased. It was about Hades and Persephone.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get into it. And I was like, I really want to get into this because it's like, lore. And I got into a little bit, but it's like it's not enough. It's like I need more words to be able to know what the character's thinking. And I think that's my issue is that I love the art, but for me to actually connect with a story, I need more of these characters instead of just dialogue.
Yeah. All right. Should I move to my next thing?
Yes.
All right. Next, I have Lord of the Rings. I have tried so hard, and I don't hate Lord of the Rings. I just like can't be a part of the enthusiasm. Like when it first came out, I was 11. It was in 6th grade. The movie came out, not the books. I had already gotten the books as a Christmas gift because they were, quote, like Harry Potter. And then I tried to read them. And I was like, this is not like Harry Potter. It was so dense and boring starting to read The Lord of the Rings after like finishing the first 3 books of Harry Potter as like a 9 or 10-year-old. I was like, what is this? And then I watched the movie with little Paul in his room down the shore. We rented the DVD of the first 2 films because at first it was pitted against Harry Potter for me. So I was like, not interested at all. I was like, excuse me, this isn't better than Harry Potter. I tried to read the book and it was so boring. Yeah. Oh, Ryan just said, yes, I feel like I got looked down on for liking Harry Potter and not Lord of the Rings. Exactly. So because I guess at the time, all, quote, old people were like, what's Harry Potter? Because Harry Potter was like getting really big with kids, but Lord of the Rings was the classic established fantasy, and the films were so critically loved that they were being compared a lot, and they're completely different. Like, obviously, the author of Harry Potter was inspired by Lord of the Rings, but it's a completely different story, a completely different vibe, just so different. Yeah, definitely. Cheyenne says it's so sad because there's room to love both. Of course there is. So many people love both. And it's not that I don't like I didn't want to love both my whole life here, because obviously I got past this. I think it was like 8th grade where I was like, okay, it's time for me to watch Lord of the Rings. And I watched it with Paul, and like I just felt like the whole time I didn't completely get it. Like I didn't understand the whole story. Like I was missing something. Like I had to read the book to really understand it, because I didn't feel like we weren't led into it like we were like Harry Potter holds your hand as you come in.
Yeah.
Like, you're a wizard, Harry. Like, you're just thrown into this world and, like, the elf world. And we never really fully explain all the details of it. And I want to know all the details. Like, I want to know the backstories of all the characters and why they're here and what this means and what their powers are and how they work. And there's this vagueness to Lord of the Rings. Like, and I think that's the point of it. Like, it's this good and evil battle that you can kind of, what is it called when you... you can project, you know, a lot of different meanings on it because of the vagueness of the story and the magic system. You know, you can bend it into all these different metaphors and all this different, it's relevant to life in so many different ways, because it's got this specific vagueness about good and evil and the battle between the two of them and how people become corrupt and greed and all of that. And it's not like Harry Potter, which was my first, you know, dip into the fantasy world, where like I knew all the rules and I know how wizards work and magic and how it's channeled. And I couldn't get that when I was watching Lord of the Rings, and it made me feel dumb when I was watching it. And I hated feeling dumb.
I really want you to watch this with Alex and I, because I feel like we would fill in all those blanks that you would know, because there's still, like, Alex has read all of them. I have not. I don't really know if I want to, because I feel like they're just going to be pretty dull for me. And not to mention the fact that there are no female characters in it, and that Peter Jackson actually had to like
That's a huge
create roles for females.
Yeah.
My parents loved Lord of the Rings. Well, at that time, Lord of the Rings, the first Lord of the Rings came out around the time we also got Star Wars Episode 1, and then we also got Harry Potter.
Yeah, it was 2001.
Yeah. So my parents were all about it. Like, fantasy world, here we come. And like I remember my dad watching like documentaries about how they did the CGI for Lord of the Rings, and he has all the books. They're actually like sitting over here, of like behind the scenes stuff. So my parents we rewatched Lord of the Rings all the time. But it wasn't until we got older that we actually kind of understood the story. And the difference between, I feel like Christine is very much into characters. If there are good vibes with the world,
you're into vibes.
Yes, then I will love something. Like if there's like a very specific vibe that the film or the creator or someone has put out about it visually, and where they have created this own world where you really want to be in, then I will be all about that. So like, I love the vibes of Lord of the Rings, and the fact that we get to follow the hobbits, and I love the first one because it's so filled with joy in the beginning, and it's so happy, and all you want to do is go to Hobbiton. You want to go to these places, and then we get to go to Rivendell, and the elves are just so well thought out, and the costuming and the visuals of their homes are just immaculate. And that's what got me when I was younger, was just how shiny and beautiful everything was, and how filled with joy. And then as you go into it, you're just so sad to leave it, and then finally like you're back in the anyway. So that's why I love Lord of the Rings. And I mean, I also love Arwen and all of her costumes. It really like, I just needed like something to like latch onto when I was younger, to be like, I like that one, and I like her outfit, she is cool.
Yeah, the lack of female characters in Lord of the Rings, I think, is another thing that was like, it just wasn't as exciting for me, because I was like, where are all the girls? Like, why are they not, there's no women around all the time. Like, we see the elf, but she's like a very small part of it, and you don't really get to know her at all as like a person involved with the group, you know?
Yeah. We do get more. Go on.
I just loved when they brought in Evangeline Lilly. Like, I was just so excited about having a lady badass in the group. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed the Hobbit movies way more than I enjoyed ever watching Lord of the Rings. But I did, like you were saying, like, I want to watch it with you and Alex, but I did watch it with John because he loves Lord of the Rings, and it was so much more fun watching it with him because he was doing the same thing, like explaining everything to me and like the backstory and stuff. And I still didn't like love it, but I actually like enjoyed watching it instead of sitting there trying to like fill in the backstory for myself. Like, I'll concentrate so hard on these movies trying to understand and like figure out all of the backstory and stuff, but with no context, you know. And then I'll just get frustrated and like, what does this mean? We don't know. No, they never tell us. Like,
there's a lot that they leave out, and it is very confusing. Like, Alex is still learning things to this day. Because like when Rings of Power came out, we were like, how does this all work? And then we had to go back in and, you know, because we didn't read the Silmarillion. So I do have to say, because they're with the lack of female characters, if we think back to the time where J.R. Tolkien wrote the books, they were very entrenched in World War II. So there was very much a camaraderie between the Brotherhood of War, which is where these books came from. And so we kind of have to think back to that point, and it's just it's upsetting, but at that time that's why there weren't,
because I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so it's more about like the, you know, being in, you know, in war, in the trenches with other men, and yeah.
Yeah, the time I watched it with John, I really appreciated the friendship between Sam and Frodo more, and I really enjoyed that. And that was like kind of what I was living for, because there was like a relationship between two characters that was like really meaningful.
Yeah.
But all the other relationships don't feel as strong. Go ahead.
I love Gandalf, and my other favorite relationship is Legolas and Gimli. I think they were hilarious. And those were the two that I loved when I was growing up. It was their whole like 1, 2, 3, like them killing orcs.
I remember when I first like saw Legolas, or I realized who Legolas was. I was like, he doesn't look like Will Turner though, like this. I want him to look like Will Turner because I love him.
I didn't know when I was that young. I didn't know that it was the same actor. It took me a long time to figure that out. What was I gonna say? Oh, okay. So
Sorry.
the I'm trying to think of the word. The relationship between Sam and Frodo is like a true representation of what a man's relationship with a man, if they leave out all the misogyny and all of
the toxic masculinity.
Expected. Yes. And it's just so emotional and beautiful. And I wish more, you know, male relationships were like that.
Sam is just such a generous friend. I feel like.
Okay. Next. What do I have here? I think, you want to talk about video games?
Yeah, let's talk about video games. So, last night when we were discussing like fandoms we weren't a part of, I was like, oh, I'm not a part of video games. And Alex was like, that's not a fandom. And I was like, but it is a fandom, like how books are a fandom.
Yeah.
I have much more respect for video games now than I did growing up, because I dated John, and he was like very passionate about the stories, and he would tell me all the backstory of all these video games, and I'd be like, this is like reading a book. Like, these are your books. I didn't realize that like there's such rich storytelling within these games, because anytime I try to play a game, I just would rather be doing anything else. I'd rather be reading. I'd rather be watching a movie. I don't want to like play out the game myself. I want to watch it happen. And I get dizzy because I get motion sickness so easily. Like, I can't even watch someone play. I get really motion sick and I feel nauseous, and it sucks. So. Yeah.
I'm not good at the controller. I can't walk and also move my field of vision at the same time. It gets very frustrating for me, and I give up because I get so frustrated because I'm not good at it. And Alex is so fucking good at video games that and he's very patient with me, but I'm just like, you do it instead. Like I think I was playing one video game and I got into a battle and I was like, I can't do it here. Threw the controller at him.
Too much pressure.
Yes. And I think some of it is a little I guess vilified for me. I don't know if that's the right word, but
society vilified video games for us growing up.
Well, that and I was living with my twin brother who would play for hours, and I would be like, "Come help me, I need help," and he'd be like, "No," and
you were like the Olivia when I was reading, probably of him doing video games. Play with me,
yeah,
do something with me,
yeah. Because once he got into video games, I didn't matter anymore. I had to go find my own thing to do and keep, and that was when books, I guess, came into my life. So.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, he found something he really loved.
Yeah. Now there are games I love to play. There's I love all the Lego games. I love all the games on Switch and Mario and I love The Sims, but
I can only play games where I go sideways across the screen.
Oh my gosh.
Games that go this way, like Mario, and you tip on the blocks and stuff.
I feel like you would like the Lego games. The thing is, Alex and
I tried.
You didn't like it.
Can't.
Alex and I played the Lego games, and he is the type of person, he's he will search out everything before we move on to the next point. I'm like, can we move on to the next point? I don't need all the coins. Let's just move on with the story. And I get bored.
I know, so do I. I'm like, I could be reading. That's literally what pops into my head when I'm sitting there, bored. I'm like, I could be doing something else. And I'm just sitting here watching a boring thing. But, I don't get the fulfillment from it. And I want to talk about Minecraft specifically. I hate this game. And I try not to hate these things. I know people love Minecraft. And I think I first of all can't play it without getting so nauseous. But, I hate... You're talking about the vibes. I hate the vibe of Minecraft.
I understand this.
Hate
yes.
How square and I hate the music. John would and I hate when people get into it. They play it for so long. Like you're saying with Alex, Paul got into Minecraft and I couldn't ever do anything with him. When I was living in that house and I'd want to watch something, he'd be like, "I'm playing Minecraft." It'd be hours.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of boxes walking around.
Alex never got into Minecraft, so I don't know.
God. Whenever John was like, "Oh, I might get back into Minecraft," I would if my anger level would rise 100%, I just start steaming because I have all these PTSD from Paul already with Minecraft. And then everyone on BookTube got into Minecraft at the same time. They'd have Minecraft parties, and then they'd be like, "You want to come?" I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not playing Minecraft." Minecraft steals everyone around me.
Oh my god.
It takes them for hours. Oh my god. And I would sit down and try to understand it, and I couldn't. It was so boring to me. It was I thought it was gonna be like The Sims, but everything's ugly. Everything's square. Why is this fun? The pigs are squares. I can't get into the stupid square houses and the square fires and the square eyeballs and the square everything. Stop.
Nothing is round, everything is square, and that's why Christine hates it.
I just get so dizzy too. I just can't look at it at all.
And Audrey says I hate it. Sorry, Audrey says I hate it too. I found it stressful dying and trying to get back to your group.
Yeah, people would play with their friends and just talk. So during the pandemic, this that music would irk me. I was just I would bristle, my hackles would go up when I hear it, and I would just have to listen to it for hours until I got John headphones during the pandemic because, you know, he lived by himself before this because so he didn't have like headphones. And like we had just started living together and it was immediately shut down everything. And he was playing and I was like, I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, Minecraft music is a trigger for me. Anyway, there's other video games that I love the music, like Final Fantasy VII. Like I know all the music. Is that what it's called? Final Fantasy VII? I feel like there's another number. Like
there's multiple numbers of Final Fantasy.
There was like a remake of it during the pandemic, and John was playing it all the time, and it had like beautiful music. And then he also played the one in space a lot. I don't remember the name of it. Destiny? I think it's called Destiny. And so like that.
Oh, I love Destiny. We listen to that music all the time. Yeah. That's Nico's Night music.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it had fucking beautiful music. Minecraft, like shove that in a fire and throw it into space, please. God.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna
a long video game rant.
I'm gonna batch these two together because I like them for the same reason. So,
wait, what?
Walking Dead and Breaking Bad.
Wait, you didn't like The Walking Dead?
Okay, I liked the first season, and that was it.
What about the second and third though?
No, I mean I think I got into it, but. Here's my issue with shows like Walking Dead and Breaking Bad. It's when the character... Okay, Walking Dead, let's talk about that one. Walking Dead, too many people die.
One at a time.
Too many people die. My anxiety can't take it.
Oh, shit. Sorry. I feel like, though, it's like one important person per season, but that's too much.
It's a little too much, okay? And then I didn't like the vibes of Walking Dead. It made me feel icky. So
okay, I can understand that.
Yeah. It wasn't like a show that I really looked forward to watching. I was just kind of like biting, and like
your nails
and trying to get through it.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why I didn't love Game of Thrones at the beginning, because too many fucking people died, and I can't take that when like characters that I know and I love start dying. I'm like, I don't want to feel these emotions right now. I'm not in the mind to feel this way. So yeah, Walking Dead was just, the vibes were off. I didn't love them, and then too many people died. And then Breaking Bad, I did get in for a bit, and then when Walter White started going south, I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. I was there in the room when it happened, but
wait, were you there? I just wanted to ask when you, because he's bad from the beginning, now that I've rewatched it a bunch of times, but were you there for the moment when he killed the guy with the bell?
I don't remember that.
Okay. Because
the bell.
There's this line. So there's this line where you're rooting from. You're kind of like in it with him becoming a fucking, drug overlord who's the egomaniac. Because you hate the villains more than you hate him becoming the villain. Mm-hmm. And then he crosses a line.
Yes.
And it's about like the last season where he really crosses so far that you're just like, I fucking hate you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But up until that point, I was still with him, and I wasn't as clear on how evil he had become until after he crossed the line, and I could look back on like, when did he actually cross it? And it was like, he crossed it ages ago. But I still fucking love that show, because what I love about it upon rewatches is that as he gets evil, you start to see Jesse is his opposite. He's like the yin to his yang. So like Jesse is becoming a better and better person, and you're realizing that Walter, who in the beginning you thought was like maybe a good influence on him because he was a mess, was actually his downfall, and is actually pulling him down constantly as he tries to grow. And so you always have someone that you are rooting for, even if it's amongst like a bunch of terrible people.
Yeah.
And in the end, Jesse makes it out.
Yeah. It's also like Walter's wife too, and like their whole relationship is so tumultuous, and like I'll never forget that like one where he's like underneath the house and he's like just screaming and she's all like, "Ugh, sorry," it just made me very. It
Is
triggered
that when they
me.
zoom out and he's down there with the money?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great episode. Like, it's the first show where we really explored an anti-hero in such a deep way, and in a way where you didn't realize you were doing it at first, because you thought you were rooting for this like innocent chemistry teacher, like who needs money for his family. It's such a fascinating exploration of like humanity and greed and morally gray aspects of life.
So I'm watching a show called Ozark on Netflix, which I'm sure a lot of people have watched, and it has those same types of like, they're money launderers. They don't really have anything to do with drugs, but it like I as I'm now like in season 2, I'm like, is this gonna have that turn where I'm gonna just hate these people because they just have to keep doing bad shit over and over again to get themselves out? But I feel like I like the actor who's in it. I can never remember his name. And Laura Linney.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman is such a likable person that it's hard not to.
He's got those vibes.
Yeah, he's got good vibes. And the whole family's got good vibes. And like there's kids involved. And I guess Walter White has kids too. But
yeah, I was going to say. I mean, honestly, the actor who plays Walter, Bryan Cranston, has such good vibes.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just such a good actor. Like, I was listening to the story of how he got the part, you know, because he was in Malcolm in the Middle, and he played this like silly dad, and I remember Vince Gilligan, who, you know, is the creator of the show, wanted him to play Walter White, and the network or whoever he was talking to was like, why would you think that guy can play Walter White? And I guess he was in an episode of that alien show that you like. What is it called?
X-Files. Vince Gilligan is the one who created X-Files, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I guess I can't, I don't know, I never watched it. But I think he was in an episode, I think it was X-Files that he was talking about, and he played this really terrible character, and it was a really short one episode thing, but he like blew him away as this like evil guy in a car or something. I can't remember because I never watched what it was.
I think he did the Cerulean episode in X-Files, if I'm remembering.
If it was X-Files. I can't remember what show it was now, and I'm getting mixed up maybe. But anyway, he saw him do one scene. He was like, fuck, he's scary. Like, he can do it. And boy, did he. Boy, did he do Breaking Bad. But like, I completely understand your hesitation and vibes being off with Breaking Bad. Like, it is a show that makes you uncomfortable a lot with how terrible some of the stuff is that's going on.
Yes.
And there's not many female characters that you can root for.
Yeah. That's why, like, I think Ozark is better in that sense, where I have, like, better female characters to root for.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's all of our fandoms that we haven't gotten into. I obviously was super into Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad was a phenomenon. Like, if you were in film school when Breaking Bad dropped, like, it was a pretentious film student's fucking dream. Like, it is shot beautifully. It was one of the most cinematically perfect television shows to grace our eyeballs at that moment in like 2009. Everyone was talking about it, so I obviously had to watch Breaking Bad. And back then I was watching it like on the random websites that would like post it, because it was on like what, AMC or something, like, and you couldn't get that without cable or, you know, the paid channels, so I had to like get it on sketchy websites every week. Like, It was cray cray, and everyone would talk about it. It was such a community event, which was always like so much fun. Like the next day, everyone would be talking about Breaking Bad. And then like in my opening years of YouTube, like I was I went to Summer in the City 2013, and everyone out there, you know, everyone I followed was like a pretentious film YouTuber. And like I remember I went to this event on a boat, and like Breaking Bad, the new episode had dropped that night, and everyone was like, I'm gonna go home and watch it. And I was staying with my friend Evan, and like we went home at midnight and watched the new episode of Breaking Bad, and like ate spaghetti at like midnight as we were watching it. It was just like such a core memory, because like we were both so into it, and then went on the internet and everyone was so into it. Like that age is gone, really, because like community all watching the same thing is kind of a thing of the past right now, with so many streamers and so much to choose from to watch.
Yeah, I feel like we got a sense of it with House of the Dragon, kind of.
Yeah, I mean the Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon I think are like, and the other HBO show that I didn't watch with the zombies.
The Last of Us, yeah.
The Last of Us. I think those are like the remnants.
And White Lotus. You like
that feeling. And White Lotus. HBO is the only one still doing it.
Yeah.
But there was such a sense of community coming online afterward to talk about it with everyone, going to like your work or school or anything, and the next day, like everyone wanted to chat about it, and that was so much fun. And they were talking about this on one of the podcasts I listened to, like how there's this loss of like, as a whole in society, of us knowing the same references and being able to relate to each other on these like subtle levels all the time. So there's this loss of the ability to quickly connect with people around you too, because you don't know what they're into. There's such a plethora of different things that you can't connect with everyone like on that joke from Friends, you know, like, because you don't know if anyone saw whatever show you're going to reference, because there's way too many fucking shows. Like, but back in like 2001, like everyone would understand like a random Survivor reference, because the show's getting 40 million viewers every fucking week, and that's what everyone was watching, you know? Like, it was so sad.
The only time like that happens now is probably like when Stranger Things dropped, and like the whole world watched that, and we had Chrissy wake up, like all that stuff that came out from that.
Yeah, that's also like how I feel about Fourth Wing almost. Like there's so many. I feel like the range of books that people love have also gotten much bigger, and I mean, that's great that like there's so many successful books, but I feel like back in the day, like I could list off my book boyfriends and everyone would know who they are. But now if I listed off book boyfriends, like from the books I'm reading, maybe like a sliver of people would know who they are, because the books are just not as universally being read at the same time, you know? Do you feel that way? Like there's not as huge of a community around like a specific series. Like your Jennifer L. Armentrout series that you love, Blood and Ash, even, like I wouldn't recognize that book boyfriend. But like I feel like back in like 2013 you could mention any book boyfriend and I would be like, oh, that's from this.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I
think that's a different topic.
That's a different topic, but it's the same sort of connecting.
Yeah, because we're talking about fandom here. Yeah,
like that connects us to people who are passionate about like whatever the thing is very easily. But now there's just so many things, it's hard to connect automatically. Yeah. But like Zayden Ryerson, I was like, everybody knows him. I can add him to my list, and it's not like super obscure. Like even Charlie Lastra, like I don't know. I know everyone knows him, but do they remember the name? Because it's Charlie Lastra, and like Emily Henry has a lot of like. Oh. Yeah, he's the lead of Book Lovers.
Oh, well, I read that. I don't
but like
remember
she has a lot of leading men who are great, so it's hard to remember them. So anyway,
yeah. We love fandom. I think
that was a really interesting discussion. We love fandom, and I love being able to connect with people over it, because it's such a core, like there's something about like when you like the same things that you kind of think in a similar way, you know, or else you wouldn't like it so much the same way.
Yes. And this is like why Christina and I are best friends. We have very similar views. There are some things that are a little different, like with Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, but I think, yeah, we're very similar in that way.
Yeah. And I feel like the way we love like Twilight is, and like still love it, is like I feel like you grew up a certain way to like love these books that I know a lot of people like to hate. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna move into Mary Kiss Cliff.
I just read this. What the fuck, Christine?
All right. Mary Kiss Cliff. Airplane, AOL Instant Messenger, or unicycle?
Oh my! How did AOL Instant Messenger get in here?
They're all ways to get to people you love.
AOL Instant Messenger is not a thing anymore, though.
It's the same thing as messaging anybody
Oh
on
my
your
God.
phone.
Okay, you know what? All right, I'm gonna marry a fucking airplane because give me one. I want my own. The unicycle can die because I will die on that. Over the cliff it goes, and I guess I'll just give a nice little peck to AOL Instant Messenger because it did connect me to people once, back in the day.
I feel like that's a good choice.
Thanks.
Because I feel like the airplane can take you anywhere physically, and that's more
Get more out of it.
efficient, than just messaging people and unicycling to people. The unicycle would be a challenge. Like if you married the unicycle, you'd have to learn to ride it. So you'd have to have like your montage of like learning to unicycle with the unicycle you married.
I am not even good on roller skates, so that would just be a death trap for me.
Unicycling is so fucking hard. Like I tried to learn in 2013 and I did.
Did you make a video about
I didn't
that?
keep going. Yeah, it was part of my Ford Fiesta movement challenge for the month. So, like, I made a video. It's very funny. I've gone back and watched it. It's so funny. Me and Paul tried to learn to unicycle together. I'll link it in the description. But I love AOL Instant Messenger, so I think I'm going to have to kiss it, too. And the unicycle is very dangerous, like you said, so going to have to toss it off the cliff as amusing as it is. All right.
That's very clear.
Okay. Into chapter chat we go. All right, we read chapters 17 and 18 of A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas this week, and boy, were these some fucking big chapters that laid the groundwork for the world for the rest of Sarah J. Maas history. Like, so much information.
Like, this is the stuff
Go ahead.
that also bleeds into her other books, too. I was like,
Other series. Yes. This was the first time I forgot I was listening to the audiobook. You know that great feeling where like you're just like in the story? I was like, oh fuck, I gotta stop. We went to the next chapter.
I definitely went into chapter 19 without knowing.
Do you want to take us through chapter 17?
Yes. Okay, so this chapter I loved because this was like Rhysand showing his cards, like showing how much he cares about her. Now, there's a little bit of a lie in here that, we understand and can forgive him. But, like, this is the stuff where I was
Which lie?
about, okay, so, first, they're flying down from the dinner from the House of Wind. And, what?
No, I said yeah.
Oh, okay. And Feyre goes, oh, I like felt the bond. I could feel you through dinner. Like I felt the bond through dinner. Like were your shields down? And he's like, no, like in an untruthful kind of way. Well, not really. He goes like, he's like, well, like our bond was created because you needed me and you didn't want to be alone. And so in the moment at dinner, you didn't want to be alone. And so that's why, like, you know, it ebbs and flows. And I'm like, well, no, the bond's getting stronger, the mating bond. So yeah.
Yeah.
That was his explanation. And then we get a little kind of backstory about, you know, because she comes back from this dinner and she understands, you know, why he would want to protect his friends and family. And so she's trying to wrap around the fact that he put up this like terrible, evil front under the mountain. And she's like, well, why would you do that? And he's like, well, I needed to protect the people I loved. But we learned that when Amarantha stole all of the High Lord's power, that he was given a little bit more than everyone else. And he used that power to make everyone forget who Azriel, who Mor, who Amaran was, who Cassian was. And so anyone that they captured, he would be on them in a minute and have them just forget Valaris altogether. And so that's what he did to protect Valaris. And he couldn't protect everyone, but he chose to protect this one city that had been kept secret for 5,000 years. And that's why he became Amarantha's whore, because that way he could control the narrative and he could become the villain that everyone wanted him to be, so that he could protect the people that he loved. And we already knew that, but
I knew that, yeah.
But he only had the power to protect one city, and he feels bad about it. And but again, we know that if someone flew over Valaris, they would only see rocks. And we also learned that no one really went in and out of the city, so like sailors became farmers. Okay, so then the next scene is Feyre is sleeping and she has a nightmare about Amarantha, who's like piercing her with a dagger and like playing with her, and she's screaming and tearing at her sheets, and she gets woken up by Rhys's voice, and she goes, Rhys wakes her up, and the primal dominance in his voice calms her, which I thought was very interesting. She shredded the bed linens with her fire fingers, which came from the Autumn Court, and immediately goes to throw up. And this is very different than when she's with Tamlin.
And he's like shirtless too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's shirtless, and like she's like looking at his tattoo that matches hers.
Yes. Yeah. And looking at all of that. And he is holding her hair while she's throwing up, and he tells her about how he has dreams that Amarantha has Azriel or Cassian pinned to the bed, and he has to sit there and watch and he can't do anything about it. And she retches again, and he like strokes long soothing strokes down her back, and it's just very like, oh, it's just like, even though she's going through this terrible thing of throwing
is
up,
happening.
yeah. It's like, it's happening. Like, my favorite thing is when things happen in the middle of the night. Like, I am such a like Taylor Midnight's, yes,
in the middle
things
of the night
and my dreams. So this is everything to me, this chapter. And so, and she retches again. Anyways, she falls asleep against the
This is
the tub.
Sarah J. Maas being like, I love the guy who comes and like picks you back up and puts you back together after you've been broken into pieces.
Yes. And he puts her back to bed and she falls asleep. I don't know if he had changed the bedding. In my mind, he changed the bedding because it's all torn up.
Yeah, he must have.
Yeah, or someone else, the people.
Yeah, someone. The Shadow Girls.
So the next day, they're fighting. Leathers, Feyre notices how his thighs are very muscular and thick. And his wings are outstretched. He's looking hot. He's looking sexy. She's also in leathers. And so she's like, this, okay, well, whatever I'm about to do, like this, obviously this calls for this type of clothing. But Feyre panics because she's like, where are we going? And he's like, we're going into the rock, this big mountain. Kind of like, I guess hill. I don't know. In my mind, it looks
it's a
like
mountain, I think.
It's a mountain, but it's like
it's a mountain.
It's just full. It's just rock. There's like, I don't think there's any like foliage or anything
opening
on it.
that you could see. Yeah. Oh no, she said there's like little streams and stuff as they're climbing and that she drank from.
Oh, that's right.
Like, but it is very rocky. Yeah.
But she panics and Race tries to soothe her and remind her that they got out. Like, he's like, this is what I had to do to remind myself. Like, we got out, we're not there. But she's like, I can't do it. And then he takes her back and she doesn't get out of bed for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
No, chapter 17.
She wakes up to Amren at the foot of her bed. And she like, it's just, like fucking freaked out and runs into like the headboard. She's like, I thought no one could get in here. But Amren throws this amulet onto her bed, and it's this like pearl blue stone amulet that makes it so that they can't hold you in the prison. Like, she's like, this is how I escaped the prison. And when you're wearing it, they cannot trap you in there. And I don't give this lightly. You need to give it back when you're done. But you can use it for while you need it. And then if you don't give it back, I will hunt you down. And I will take it back. So Feyre now with the amulet is imbued with like a sense of confidence that she can focus on in order to like force herself to climb this mountain and go back under a mountain, even though she has all this PTSD. So we're going to see the bone carver now. And we're about to set up the entire world. We get to the mountain. They are climbing. They have to climb up it. You can't winnow in. You have to physically climb the mountain. And then Rysand puts his like hand on the wall and it vanishes and there's a gate there. And the prison is just darkness. Like, there are no physical guards. The guards are like shadow spells that are like in the rocks that keep anything that's in it from getting out. So there's no like actual people who work there. And Rysand has to hold Feyre's hand as they just like wind down through the darkness with these 3 like moon orbs that are like barely lighting their way. And I'll go all the way down until they're completely under the mountain, because that is where the bone carver is caged. And Feyre's wearing the blue amulet, so she just keeps concentrating when she panics on how like this is gonna make it so she can't be trapped here. She can't be trapped here. And so we're learning more about everyone while we're doing this climb and this descent. And we learn about Azriel. She asks about his hands, and we learn that he is a bastard child, and he had 2 brothers that were legitimate, and his stepmother, I guess you would call her, fucking hated him. And so he was kept locked in a room every day. He was allowed out for an hour a day, and he was allowed to see his mother once a week, his actual mother. And he had these brothers that were spoiled dick fuckers, and they wanted to see what would happen if they lit an Illyrian on fire, because Illyrians have really quick healing. So they fucking lit Azriel on fire, and the screaming brought people over to help him, but like they weren't able to save his hands, so they were fucking burned. And she's like, were his brothers punished? He lived there for 3 more years before he was able to leave, so he was potentially tortured in different ways for 3 more years before he got to go live at the barracks at the Illyrian camp. And it was just like horrifying to hear that. And she's like, were the brothers punished? And Rysand says, eventually. So it took a while.
I forgot about that.
Which is terrible.
I forgot that he has
I completely
like, scarred hands.
Completely forgot about his family and all that situation. We learned that Moore is who you would call in if Az and Cass died to take care of things. Now, I feel like we still don't know what the extent of Moore's powers and specialty. Like, we've never seen her have to go into battle like that, unless I'm not remembering. So that's remains kind of a mystery as to the extent of what her powers are and her specialties or whatever. He describes her kind of as the queen of the city. Like, she runs everything. And let's see here. So we learned that Amren was trapped. I completely forgot about this. Trapped in the prison for a few millennia? Question mark? What the actual fuck? And so he talks about how she is from a different world, and I think we kind of have an idea of what she probably might be. And when the world was forming, there were these seams that ripped in the world that allowed beings and creatures from other worlds to pass through, and then when they sealed back up, they got trapped there. Now, in her other series, we see very similar rifts talked about, and very similar births of like how their world became their world. Like, different creatures came through, and then the rifts sealed up, and everyone was trapped there. So this is all starting to line up, and the shared history is starting to like rise to the surface here. It's just batshit. A millennia just is batshit. Like, thousands of years she was in there. We learned about the cauldron. So there was this cauldron that was forged by a dark being. Okay, so this bathtub was forged by someone that I didn't even think about. I forgot about this completely. And they also forged the Book of Breathings with the leftover iron from the bathtub. And the Book of Breathings has directions in it to be able to control the cauldron. And the cauldron is so powerful. In order to lessen its power, someone chopped off the 3 feet. So there's 3 feet on this bathtub that holds it up. Someone chopped it off to try to decrease the power of the cauldron because it was scary powerful. And it worked, and they hid these 3 feet in 3 separate temples. And that is what Hybern has been tracking down and raiding these temples for, these 3 feet. Because they go to the bone carver to ask how Jurian could possibly be brought back to life because he's dead. And they only had a finger bone, but they preserved his soul. And the bone carver says that the only thing that could bring them back is the cauldron. And if he has been brought back, the cauldron is likely coming back to full power. And someone's hunting down the feet. Now, the Book of Breathings has been split into 2 parts, and the human queens have one part of it, and it's under a spell where you cannot steal it or it'll melt into iron ore. They have to give it to you willingly.
Yep.
And the Summer Court, the High Fae, have the other half. And when put together, again, it gives you the directions on how to nullify the cauldron, but it can only be used by someone who is not born of this earth, who is made or forged separately. And so the bone carver thinks that perhaps Feyre will be able to use it because she has been remade. She is not born of this world. She's been reborn with magic. So, whew, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the bone carver appears as an 8-year-old child with dark hair and blue eyes to her, and he appears as Jurian to Rysand. He asks Feyre. He's clearly looking for a way out of this world, and he's thinking that maybe it is in death. And he's like, so there's no portal when you died? What was it like when you died? What did it look like? And she says that it was dark, and there was this gold thread that she followed, and she could see herself dead through Rysand's eyes. And that when she came back, she knew that there was something good on the other end of that thread. She knew that there was home on the other end of that thread, and she chose to go back there. And I'm like, oh my God, she knew that, like, in some part of her knew that there was love waiting for her, like that this was like a mating bond. So that was like the Invisible Thread song from Taylor Swift to me.
They're also, she does share that there was another tether that she could have pulled if she wanted to.
Or she could have let go, I think.
Yeah,
right?
she could go where she wanted.
Just said goodbye. Yeah. So.
And she also shared that if it wasn't Tamlin under the third hood, that she would have killed herself. And I don't think Rhysand was ready for that.
Yeah. Rhysand was alarmed a lot during this discussion. He was like, stop talking. Don't say anything else. And the bone carver was so creepy. Like, it was like the quintessential creepy child in a horror movie, you know, like in the darkness.
I just keep thinking
they were talking to.
In my mind, he looks like Voldemort when he was young in Half-Blood Prince, the actor who was in the After series.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, definitely that vibe for sure. And just the idea that he's like a mockery of innocence was just a very creepy image. It was like the Joker as a child. So yeah, they do a question for a question while they're in there, and Rysand at one point has to tell him as something that nobody knows, and he's like, I hurt my knee during the war and it still hurts.
Like, that's what you give him after Feyre, like, divulges all of this.
I know. Well, he's being very clever about it, and is like, yeah, no one knows about my little injury, so here. And he's like cheeky about it. He's like, you're a smart one. You amuse me. And he's like, I want your bones when you die, Feyre. Trade me her bones.
Oh yeah, Rysand gives him the bone that she killed the worm with.
The calf bone, yeah. And she's like, how did he even know that was the bone? But yeah, it was a very good chapter. And then they go home. And they know that now it's confirmed that Hybern is putting the cauldron back together. And the bone carver says that, you know, he's probably letting it recharge because, like anything, it gets depleted.
So the three human queens are the ones that we kind of explore more in Silver Flames, right? Because they have a lot of things that they're holding.
Exploring. Well, they're exploring them because of what happens in this book. What happens at the end with the queens. Like, they get put in the cauldron because they want eternal life. They basically make a deal with Hybern that if they give him the Book of Breathings, then he will give them eternal life through the cauldron. But Nesta is forced in first, and Nesta steals the cauldron's magic, like a giant chunk of it, and the cauldron's fucking pissed. So it takes it out on the first queen to go in. And she gets immortal life, but she looks like an old, disgusting croon.
Oh, yeah.
And her name's Briarlyn. Yeah. And she is the queen that is trying to get the Dread Trove in Silver Flames. Mm-hmm. Because she's fucking pissed. And she's pissed at Nesta because it's her fault that she got, you know...
Bitch didn't know. She was just mad that she had to be in there.
I know. Bitch did not know. But yeah, it's all very fascinating now, having read all the other ones, because the first time you read it, it's too much information to really take in, and you don't have the full picture, so you can't connect all these threads. Mm-hmm. So it is so interesting now, especially after, again, having read Crescent City and like learning about all these other types of creatures and like kind of seeing parallels between the two worlds. So it's very exciting. It even got me thinking, when he said that fire was a gift of the Autumn Court, and then of course we have the Autumn King in Crescent City. He doesn't have fire, though, that we know of. Mm-mm. But you know who does have fucking fire? Aelin is a fire queen.
Oh.
So she's a fire-breathing bitch queen. And I'm like, they don't have like courts like that with their fae.
You mean in Throne of
that
Glass?
We know of. In Throne of Glass. Yeah. But I find it very interesting. And I'm wondering like if there's a connection there. But I'd have to reread Throne of Glass because I don't know. Yeah. All right. That's going to wrap up our show today, guys. What a good chapter. We'll do chapters 19 and 20 next week. Things are getting fucking good. The show is becoming more ACMF for sure.
Yeah. Alex is like, do I have to edit more of this? I'm like, I think we're pretty succinct, but it's like a good 20 minutes at the end.
Yeah, because it's getting good, man. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot to talk about. But we put out new episodes every Friday. My book 3, Attached at the Hip, is available for pre-order in the show notes, in the description, on any of the book websites, wherever. It comes out May 21st, 2024. And my name's Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And we're those Working Fangirls, and we'll see you next week. Our podcast is edited by Alex Polis and Jake Needham, with music by Cole Jenkins and vocals by Heather Trosco. Thank you so much for watching and listening and supporting the show. We love y'all, and we will see you next Friday.
We're going to be recording Tea Time.
Oh, yeah. We're headed to go record Fangirl Tea Time, which, if you're not a patron, is available through our Patreon. Check it out. Link in the show notes.
Bye.
Bye.